Hi, it's Laura LaFay again with the Unlimited Potential series. And today I wanted to talk about flow, flexibility, and grace. And these are some components that are going to be really pertinent to your sense of abundance, your sense of flow in the world, and how quickly things occur for you. And ultimately, we're talking about that new you, the idea of how you move forward and the person that you're becoming in moving forward. And I thought I would do it a little differently today. I'm going to do it from the perspective of the physiological perspective. So I find that your body is very helpful in being a really good reflection of what's going on for you energetically and emotionally. So I wanted to share this book. It's called The Complete Dictionary of Ailments and Diseases. And you may be familiar with Louise Hay's work. She has a very similar kind of a section in one of her books that talks about what aspects of your body mean in terms of your energy and what's going on with you emotionally. So this is a book similar to that. And I just want to read you a section of it and then talk to you a little bit about that. So the section I want to talk about is joints. And as we age, joints become kind of a big deal because we tend to believe as a culture that aging means that we will be less flexible, that we'll get stiff, we may become more cautious, less spontaneous, and that's really not necessary. It's actually just because a lot of people believe it doesn't mean that it serves you. So I also want to create a disclaimer here and say I'm not a doctor, I'm not dispensing medical advice or making any suggestions about how you might do your life and your wellness. I am advocating for considering your emotional and physiological, psychological framework in terms of what your body's got to share with what's going on with you energetically. So I'm just going to jump in kind of in the middle here and just read about a paragraph. An articular disorder indicates a resistance or a holding back, a certain stiffness in my thoughts, in my actions, or in my expression of my often repressed emotions. An inflammation appears if I am afraid of moving forward. I become incapable of moving. I have difficulty in changing direction. I play the game of being emotionally detached. I don't act spontaneously. I hesitate or refuse to abandon myself to life and give my trust. Hence, the anger that often results from my refusal to communicate my frustrations and disappointments. When I move painfully or with difficulty, my body is saying that I don't want to understand or accept something that is limiting me in my expression of myself. So that sentence I think is really important. When I move painfully or with difficulty, my body is saying, I don't want to understand or accept that thing that is limiting me. And why would that be? I believe that it's because we don't want to re-experience the pain of whatever that emotion is. And usually the anticipation or expectation of the pain is much worse than the pain itself. And I'm talking about emotion as a pain here. So basically, the way to deal with this when we're recognizing it, when we're recognizing that there's something limiting us or that we are resisting moving forward, and I tell you, doing this work, a lot of resistance is going to come up, and that's a good thing. You want that to happen because you want to address these resistances and release them as soon as they come up. So you might even take notes if you're noticing something on a particular day. Maybe you've had a discussion with somebody and the next day your ankle is swollen or you've got something going on with your shoulder. You might just take note of that sort of thing because they are connected. That's how it works energetically. So essentially in coming to a kind of an adjustment or an acceptance of ourselves and our emotions, the most important component is that we've got to be kind to ourselves. So just imagine if you were going to speak to someone who is having a hard time, and this person is somebody that you really cared about. You would be supportive. You would be loving of them. You'd be a good listener. You'd be patient. And so those are the same qualities that you've got to espouse in allowing these kinds of things to come up for you around yourself. So basically, one way to do that is when you know something's going on, get yourself into that space of patience, of appreciation for yourself, love for yourself, before you start digging around in there in your psyche. So essentially, you're going to create a space where you can trust yourself enough to explore those emotions that you're afraid to feel, the fears that you have about moving forward, for example. And just you can use writing. You could talk to yourself and record that. There's a lot of different methods. As a coach, there are a million ways that we can deal with those kinds of things. But for when you're doing it by yourself, maybe you've got angel cards or some other kind of cards that you like to play with to give you that reflection. So basically, you're still in that space of moving into being the person that you want to be, and you're noticing resistance comes up, and a lot of times that's going to bring with it some physical expression of those resistances. And so I just wanted to give you that heads up and give you some pointers on how to deal with that. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll talk to you soon.